The NCAA Women's Basketball Tournament Sweet 16 field is set, but SBJ's newsroom joins many in the gut punch over USC's Juju Watkins' first quarter knee injury on Monday night that saw one of the best and most popular players in women's basketball tear her ACL. Watkins will undergo surgery and then begin rehabilitation shortly thereafter, but a bitter disappointment for Watkins, the NCAA, and all basketball fans. And this is your morning Buzzcast for Tuesday, March 25th. I'm Abe Madcourt. Thanks for listening to the Buzzcast. The end of an era as changes at Endeavor private equity group Silver Lake has completed its takeover of the company in a deal valuing the agency at $25 billion. And there are many noteworthy elements. First, Silver Lake will, of course, control the company, and longtime leader Ari Emanuel will shift to become executive chair of the newly named WME Group, while longtime executive Mark Shapiro will now oversee its daily operations. And yes, it's an end of an era for Ari, who co-founded Endeavor in 1995 and built a giant around representing talent. Silver Lake in 2012 bought a minority stake and pushed Endeavor into areas like premium hospitality, the UFC, PBR, and eventually WWE. So after being a publicly traded entity for the last 4 years, the company goes private, has a new name, WME Group, is much smaller, and it returns to its roots, representing talent across sports and entertainment, while also keeping its hand in brand consulting with the 160/90 business. Now, longtime co-founder Patrick Weitzel will also step back and no longer hold a formal role with WME. He will likely buy WME's football representation business and is starting a $250 million platform with Silver Lake to buy sports, media, and entertainment businesses. As for Ari Emanuel, I look for him to take much of his payout in the deal, reported to be north of $170 million, and I'd look for him to invest in other businesses across sports and fashion and other areas of entertainment. The name to continue to watch? Mark Shapiro. He will run day-to-day operations along with Christian Muirhead and Richard Weitz, who are WME co-chairs. So Mark Shapiro right now taking on a larger day-to-day role. And remember, Ari Emanuel, Mark Shapiro, both remain in leadership roles at the publicly traded TKO Group. So we'll continue to hear a lot of them, but a new day as the WME Group launches, led by Mark Shapiro and Ari Emanuel and Patrick Weitzel, moving on to new endeavors. Let's shift to soccer. We talked about it yesterday on the Buzzcast. The World Cup, just over about 440 days away until it starts in the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. And you're going to hear more and more about this seminal moment in global sports. Now, the 11 cities in the United States that will stage the matches are looking for help. They're seeking more than $600 million in federal funding towards the security costs of operating the tournament. The bottom line is these cities need federal funding for areas like security and transportation. Now, this is in the early stage, and it isn't a surprise to me. We all know there is great enthusiasm for hosting the World Cup next year. But from the people I have spoken with who represent host committees and local sports organizations in the cities that will host these matches, there is real angst. These people wonder if our country and our cities recognize and are really ready for the scale, the logistics, and the influx of visitors for the World Cup. Now, there is tremendous pressure on the host cities. They are responsible for delivering the games. They have to cover the operational costs, the fan experience, where the teams stay, public safety, transportation, other critical elements. And they have to go out and raise money to underwrite these costs. And that's proven to be very difficult. In addition, there are other concerns. There are lengthy delays for visa approval for fans coming into this country. Travel groups have questioned whether airports and the U.S. travel system are fully prepared to handle the influx of travelers arriving, departing, and in even getting their way around a city. Another often overlooked element. Just think of the number of visitors who come to these host cities with no tickets. They have no intent of going to the matches, but they want to be part of their favorite country's total World Cup experience. One city official I spoke with estimated there would be close to 1 million more people in their host city during a month of matches. So there's a lot at play here. And to be clear, nobody is questioning the ability to deliver matches on the pitch. Stadiums and operators do that all the time. But there are logistical concerns, and people want a greater sense of urgency, not just from the federal government, but in state and local government as well. The sky is not falling, and these are not new concerns before a big event. And we know the U.S. always comes through in hosting and producing big events, and this will be a spectacular event when the World Cup is concluded next July. But, there is some angst over a year out, and many leaders want to see a greater sense of urgency from stakeholders across the entire soccer and World Cup and government ecosystem. We will definitely be keeping our eye on this story as it unfolds. We saw what the Boston Celtics went for in a sale last week. Now all eyes are focused on the Minnesota Twins. That sale process has been pretty slow. The Athletic is reporting today that the Pollard family is believed to be seeking at least $1.7 billion for the team, although it's unclear whether they can get to that number, and if they don't get to that number, would they decide to ultimately keep the Twins? There have been a few things at play here. Remember, Justin Ishbia didn't go through with his efforts to try and buy the Twins. Rather, he decided to increase his stake in the Chicago White Sox. So the Twins now in late March are just restarting their sale process. And it was reported that one bidder's offer at a $1.5 billion valuation for the team was not seriously considered. The most recent comparable in baseball would be the Baltimore Orioles, who were sold last March at a valuation just north of $1.7 billion. So it seems the Twins and the Pollard family are seeking to match that deal. Again, this story in progress and more to come. The price for a Super Bowl spot, that remains strong and keeps going up, not surprisingly. Reports are that NBC Universal has sent out indications that it will seek around $7 million for a 30-second spot in Super Bowl 60. That'll be next February, and that's according to Variety. That price is about even or just a bit higher than what Fox initially sought for ad time in Super Bowl 59 in February. Remember, think about the start of 2026 for NBC Universal. They will have the Super Bowl. They will have the Winter Olympics in Milan and Cortina. And of course, by then, they would have launched their coverage of the NBA, and they will also have the NBA All-Star Game in February. What a first quarter. So I expect some massive ad bundling around those marquee events, all in the first quarter of 2026 for NBC Universal. Chicago Bears president and CEO Kevin Warren, he continues to make over the Bears front office as he looks to modernize operations and also looks to have the pieces in place as the team seeks to build a new stadium. So Kevin Warren did as many leaders do. He looked to his past place of employment, the Big Ten, in hiring the Bears' new Senior Vice President of Administration and Chief Financial Officer in Laura Anderson. Now, the Bears' executive ranks have changed dramatically under Kevin Warren, and Laura Anderson is the team's sixth senior vice president. There are 5 more executive vice presidents with the club. So Warren has looked to solidify his executive leadership ranks. And Laura Anderson joins the Bears at a time where we know they have been looking to build a new stadium, either in downtown Chicago or in Arlington Heights. So more executive leadership additions at the Chicago Bears. And that is your morning Buzzcast for Tuesday, March 25th. I'm Abe Matcore. Thanks for listening. Stay healthy. Be good to each other. I'll speak to you tomorrow.